All right, it's 12:02, so let's get started. I just want to first of all welcome everyone to our webinar relaunch. I know it's kind of been a few months in progress, but we are really appreciative of everyone joining us here today. Just a couple of housekeeping items to mention today. So these sessions will be recorded, and then once the webinars are wrapped up, we'll choose one and post it up on the Mobiltex website, just so that everyone can have a refresher and a reference guide to see everything that we covered today. How we're looking to structure the session today is essentially a 50-50 split. So myself, for those of you who I haven't met yet, I'm Jason Postma, the product owner of CorView. So essentially acting as almost a liaison between sales and our customers and the development team, just making sure that we can translate your requirements into requirements for the developers, and so that CorView functions the way it should, and it's meeting our customer and our client needs. So like I said, so the first half will be conducted by Josh, or I'll pass it off to here in a minute. He'll walk everyone through CorView, some of the common workflows in cloud, and then the second half, I do have a couple slides on CorView, kind of where we're at and where we're going for the remainder of the year, and then we'll open it up to questions and gather feedback. If there's anything pertinent that you guys are asking while Josh is going through it, we will try and address it through the workflow. If not, we'll answer any questions that you may have at the end. So I guess with that, I'll pass it off to Josh.
Perfect. Yeah, with regards to the question and answers, there should be on your Teams meeting there at the very top, should be like a little Q&A section. So that's where you can field those questions. All right. On my screen here, I got CorView.Cloud opened up. Just to let you know here, so at the very top, CorView.Cloud, that's if you're searching it for the first time, you can open that up. That's how you get to this page here. The username and password is going to be the same as your login for CorView Legacy or Classic, depending on how you want to call it there. So CorView Classic and Cloud, same username, same password. I'm just going to log in here. And if you'd like to, you can also log in as well, just to go through with your own information here. Your first login, it'll ask to confirm your email address. So just go ahead and hit send verification email. And this is just a temp email address that I have set up for this demonstration, but you can have an email sent to your email address with regards to your login information there. If this page comes up, just go ahead and hit applications and CorView. Now, one of the things you'll see if you're first logging into CorView.Cloud is that we have a dashboard page here. And I'm just going to switch this over to Acme Pipeline Company Demo. So the top right corner is where I kind of want to look here first, though. So I just switched it over, but this is my user information here. And the focus company is the company that my user will log into and default to for each of the pages. So there's a little bit of a nomenclature change between CorView Classic and CorView.Cloud, where in CorView Classic, we used to call them regions. In CorView.Cloud, they're now called companies. So me setting this to Acme Pipeline Company Demo means that my dashboard and all my specific pages are now set to filter for this company. From this tab as well, you can view your user information. So it comes up in a separate window there. Reset all grid layouts. That's for all the tables for separate pages like sites, readings, such and such. And then change password to change your user information password and log out of CorView.Cloud here. Just to take a quick look, I'll open up this View User Information tab. So here has my username, the companies that I have roles with it. So if you're running a multi-company system, it's good to keep track of this. And each company can have different roles assigned to it for your login. So there's customizability. If you say a contractor's working for you, that you can change that specifically for the contractor to have less privilege level just for one section rather than another. Just some information here with regards to creation, updated. And then I just want to make a quick note on this. Your company directory information is optional. You don't have to enter that. If you do enter it, only admins in CorView can view it. So it could be useful for, say, contractors. If they have that information entered, then they can, you know how to contact the contractor and vice. There's a little bit more information on that front, just within CorView. So that's a user information tab at the top right. Now, the dashboard page, this is new with CorView.Cloud, and this is a little more of one of the cool things, the cool gadgets that we've implemented. So you can see here, sites on alarm is 6. So that's with regards to like overdue or limits, low batteries, warning batteries for our battery RMUs. So there's none on this demonstration account here. Overdue units come up on here. And then looking a little bit further down, this is with regards to every 4 hours, if there's transmissions coming through, probably 3 transmissions through there. 1 was an alarm, 2 are more normal, and it'll just give you additional information. Now, the cool thing with this, off this dashboard page, is that if you click one of the things here, so like say sites on alarm, it'll pull you to a page where you can see it in better information. So this one's filtered for in alarm only, and it's on the site status page, and we can see what units are flagging here in order to get that sites on alarm down, have better trackability of your assets. And just going back to the dashboard page, so to get there is just dashboard and CorView. Another cool thing here too is with regards to the command success rate, I'll just talk on that really quick. There's no commands that have been sent in this demo account in the last 30 days. That's why it says 0. But if there was and any failed messages that have gone through or failed commands, that would populate for percentage passed and failed of those commands sent. But another cool thing I was going to mention here, site with default names. If there's new installs, they have a default name or auto-generated name where the ESN is that auto-generated name. So a quick flag there, if you're having new installs, you can just click that from the dashboard and it'll send you directly to the sites page, and it show sites with default names already checked there, and you can edit those sites and rename them accordingly. So it's very, very handy on that front. Very happy with the development team on that. For your fleet count, that's just the types in which your RMUs are assigned to. So ER probes, coupons, rectifier test points, bond points on that front, and just CorView login activity. That's just with regards to how many unique users have logged in on your CorView region through CorView.Cloud. Rolling through here, so we're going to go from left to right from the top sections. So next on mine here is just the readings on the map page. Because I chose my focus company as Acme Pipeline Company Demo, it brings me to this map page. And then the filters transfer over from the previous pages. So because I was on the in alarm section there, it just says in alarm only. So I'm just going to flip that off just so we can see all of the sites here. Now, this is going to be very similar to what you see in Classic. So it's just it's transferable over. The notes here I'll put in though is your company filter to switch between companies is on this page here, so it's easier to switch between those multiple company structures. In the top left-hand corner, this is new as well, just a refresh button. So if you're setting interruption commands and you're just impatient like myself, you can click it there a few times and just make sure you're seeing a yellow for interrupting site that's passed there and that your units are good to go. In the top right-hand corner, you have that smart search bar. So if you search anything or I should say anything that's within a site name, it'll populate only the CorView sites that have that in the name. So if you look here, Army 3S, Army 3S, this Army 3S. So likewise, if you're just additional filtering and just make it a little bit easier to access the information you want there. Let's put that back. Same information bubbles. So with regards to bonds for B, R for rectifier, C for coupon, E for ER probe, that's all the same. The same colors as well for those bubbles. So green for if it's good, yellow for interrupting, red for if there's any kind of alarm. Then there is pink for overdue, and if there's a site that doesn't have an ESN assigned, it'll show up gray. If there's a site that is inactive, which is a possibility to do with your sites, you can click Show Inactive Sites, and they'll come up a blue color. There's none on this account, but if you had any, that's how you would look at it there. And then just filtering options here, same as what you would see in CorView Classic. So nothing else on that front. I'm just gonna take a look at one of these sites just to click through it. Let's look at this one here. So let's try this one here. So let's see. So Army 2G bond with dual pipe to soil. So this one, you can just get some of the last readings from the unit. If you go to here, you can also view historical readings. So they'll bring you to the readings page for historical readings, or get directions through Google Maps. It'll link you to Google Maps there as a pin drop on Google Maps. If you're looking at, say, a rectifier site, so let's zoom in here so I can click the first one here. If you have like an Army 3 that you can send commands to, from this page here, you can just go directly into the send command page. I just want to show that one real quick there. So ultimately, not a whole lot has changed with regards to the maps page. Same functionality as you expect to see with CorView Classic with some additional add-ons. Let's go back to the readings at the top here, and let's go, rather than a map, let's go take a look at the site status. Just this. So the site status page, great if you have a unit that has a limit alarm and it's out of those limits. So example, coming down here, Virtual Army 3G rectifier, and we take a look here, and we can see low limit of 2, high limit of 55, and it's reading at 1.88. So looks like that rectifier is down. And we look at the second one here, because that's rectifier DC volts. We look at the second one here for rectifier DC amps on the second slot. We can see near 0. So yeah, the rectifier looks like it's down. It's flagged here. It's flagged on the front page, dashboard page underneath alarms. So when you come to this page here, it's great for that information. Now, something to say about these tables that you're going to be rolling through. If you ever want to reset them to defaults, that's what this button is, reset all grid layouts. If you want to customize them, that's going to be through the top headers here. So if you're looking at the top left here, you can add and remove columns depending on how you like to view your data, if things that aren't pertinent. This has been a quality of life improvement from Classic to Cloud. For Classic, you had to do that through your user information, by editing your user information to adjust those columns. You can do it directly on the pages in Cloud. And then additional filtering as well. So let's see, example here. So RMU type. If you click that,
Josh.
Yeah, go ahead.
If I may, John just had a question here, and I believe it was pertaining to the readings page here. But he's saying every time he logs off and logs back in, the layout of the readings page resets. To that point, Josh, or John, excuse me, it has been updated in CorView, so maybe we can chat offline here later, but if you do rearrange the column ordering, it should save it to your user profile so that it's the same each time that you log in and out. So yeah, just a quick question there from John.
Perfect. Yeah, no, that's a great point. So it'll be saving to your user profile, and if it's not doing that, then let us know. It should only be resetting if you go into your user tab here and then hit reset all grid layouts. I think it is sticky between. Maybe I'll get you on this one, Jason. Is it sticky between different companies, or is it does the same settings transfer over between companies, or do you have to do it differently for each company as well?
That's a great question. But believe it's individual to the company, Josh. But it's definitely something I'll make a note of and test further to get back to people.
Perfect. Yeah, because if you run into that, then I can understand you customize each company individually because it might have different data sets that you want to look at. But yeah, just on that point, we just want to make sure we're clear. With regards to the site status page, so with these columns, because we were looking at them, you can specifically filter these columns as well. So for example, RMU type. If we go here, we can see if I want to see like directly just only RMU2s, just filter for them. I'm not going to put anything in here, but just as an example, or say if you want to do, you have the smart search in the top right, but if you want to do anything else with regards to that smart searching further on that site name, you can do that here as well. So it's just with regards to text, equals to, does not equal to, starts with, ends with, that kind of information. So additional filtering through CorView.Cloud here. Now, with regards to changing, so we were looking at how we can add and remove columns. You can also change how they're set up on here. So, for example, this is just a quick example, but say I want to move this one over, right? You can move it from the left or right. Just do that for any of the columns here. Just click and drag. A little more pertinent when you get to the readings page, but it's possible on any of these table pages. And then if you're looking at this information here and you had it filtered down, and you want to export, there is an export key or export button in the top right corner. Put it for CSV, all records, and put your file name in there, and it'll download to your default download folder there. Now, from this page, just want to mention this here. So on the far left-hand side, you'll see it on all the pages, but there's a 3-dot button on the far left for each site. And that's with regards to getting or traversing through different pages. So for example, for this one, if I want to take a look at it through the sites page, so I can edit that site per se, or look at some more site information, or if I want to go to the map page or the reading page. Now this is just with regards on that front, so you can navigate through your sites a little bit better. So good to note that that's available here. All right, that's all I had for the site status page. Very handy for alarms to check to see where that alarm's coming through and have a better understanding of how you set those limits. Let's go head over here to the readings page. Now, readings page, this is what I was mentioning with customizing the columns. By default, it's just alphabetical off the top. For example, one of the things I want to do is just hit your rectifier DC volts and drag that over there to get that over just for your rectifier sites. There we go, one over there, perfect. With regards to the readings page, not much different from CorView Classic. There's a lot of functionality that's just been directly transferred over. The columns and the ability to filter for your columns, that's all been upgraded with CorView.Cloud. But we do have this here. So with regards to all the pages, or most of the pages there, you do have that refresh button on the top left, smart search bar on the top right. If you're ever going to look at exporting, there'll be an export button right next to your smart search on the top right. If you're filtering for different companies, there's that company filter on all the pages here. And then just additional filtering as well to get down to your unit. Now, this is one thing that's a little bit different. For the date range, if you want to adjust that, that can be done through this here. Nothing crazy. You just click the first date that you'd go from, and then to, and then it'll adjust it. It's a lot faster loading times in cloud. So the development team has done a great job on that. So great if you have a lot of information you'll see the difference between the two for sure. All right, I just want to set this for 1 week of information because I just want to take a look at this a little further on the maps page here, or the graphs page. So let's open that guy up. And then I just need to select a site here. So I believe it's the Army 1 here, virtual Army 1I. Just to make a note about the graphs page. So there was a graph page available in CorView Classic. It was a paid function. We've opened that up to the floor. So in CorView.Cloud, if you want to view your information graphically, please feel free to. You can open this up here. It's just underneath the readings and then graph, and then select your information there. With the RDL1, the fast sample data will also be available, just with regards to that development on that remote data logger. So here, looking at the far left-hand side, so native coupon DC potential, coupon instant disconnect, your regular CP coupon DC potential, your AC potential on your coupon, and your amps per meter squared, whether that's being AC or DC, and then correlating that back to the series over here for that information. So worthwhile to take a look at some of your information on that front. And then you can also show the limits with regards to those sites as well, or the site that you have highlighted. So it'll give you additional limit information on that front. And then if you wanted to export this information, you can do it either via the reading, so via CSV, or you can get an image of that graph as a PNG there, and just put your file name. Again, that downloads to your default download folder. Rolling forward here, I'm just going to make a quick note of it. So there's additional reporting. So this, something you can take a look at, but with regards to your units and generating additional reports like rectifier downtime, a site overdue report to see example of your sites that are overdue. That can all be put through reports, but it can also be taken a look at here through your dashboard page to filter to, for example, this guy right here is overdue. Let's go forward here into control. So RMU's history information, that just has more information with regards to the ESN or electronic serial number that's transmitting into these sites at the given moment here. So with those messages that come through, it'll give you additional information on this page here. Interruption status, this one is pretty handy. And I'll switch this one over to training just because we don't have any messages from Acme Pipeline Company demo that we've sent out. But switch this over to training, and it shows here the site name here. We have rectifier number 2, test in progress, relay status, it's interrupting, and it says a cycle time as well. So it lets you know at this moment where your sites are interrupting or anything along those lines, as well as interruption cycle order. Make sure that they all have the same set. If you want to take a look at the previous commands that were sent to get additional information on that front, you could just go to control and command history, and it'll show the commands that were sent. This was just a test that was pushed through internally, so a user was deleted afterwards on our front here. So I'm just gonna take a look at the send command page here. So where am I at? I'm at training. Perfect. I go top, control, send command. It'll default for that training page here, or the training units there. So that's what I see here in the company filter. This will put a time frame in for the inbound and outbound readings. So if I switch this here to 1 day, it'll show all inbound and outbound messages for training on that front. And we can even export that information as well. I was pushing this through for 1 day time frame just because I want to look a little bit further back here. So for example, inbound messages coming through on the separate rectifier sites here. And if you wanted to export bar or button in the top right corner, you can get all this information sent to you there. Let's take a look at actually sending a command though. So plus send command, top left corner. And then because my focus company is training, that's what's coming up here. And let's take a look at one of these here. So interruption groups have the -int suffix at the end. Regular standard groups do not have that. So just as a heads up on that front. Let's go to the training Army 3 interruption group. They can change it between site number, site name, assigned ESNs. Leave it as site name just because that's how I'm used to it on this front, and it makes it pretty simple for navigating through. Say like rectifier number 1 as my site, and then similar to Classic, if you use the new control page in Classic, there's a operation drop down. That's the same on here. So request outer rings, request instant off. If it has to pipe the soil measurements. It has that the Army has the capability. Send rectifier on, send rectifier off to open and close. Send continuous interruption for your interruption command. Set daily interruption, cancel interruption. Set interruption cycle order for the on first, off first, or in other terms, starting in the on, starting in the off. Can be done through this send command page, or set limits. I'm just going to take a look at this set limits. Now, a note on this: this is an add-on feature for Army 3 units that you can remotely change the limits in the unit rather than on site. So for example, on this one here, rectifier number 1, I can see the low and high limit for each of the slots here, as well as the last slot reading. So it gives you a good indicator of, hey, what's going on this front with the last reading. Can I adjust my limit there? Maybe the rectifier taps were changed, but the limits were not, so you can remotely change the limits there. As also just a quick note on this front, the base serial number, antenna serial number, input voltage, that's coming directly from the unit there. So that base serial number, that's what's installed there. That antenna serial number, that's the antenna of the Army 3 input voltage. That's going to be the rectified AC voltage coming in. So it's probably around like 13 volts AC or 13 to 14 volts AC, but the Army 3 is seeing 18.4. Just to take a look at this set daily interruption, which is a common command that people will be using here. So for cycle time, say like 5,000, off time, 1,000, autofills. So 4 seconds on, 1 second off. Start and end date, nothing too crazy there. 24-hour clock for your start and end times. And if you want to put in a rectifier state note, you can do that as well with regards to setting an interruption command. And that'll work for single units, or you can just select the full Army 3 interruption group, like a full interruption group there. So the same functionality there, except interruption groups you can send to multiple units at the same time. So let's go over here from the top.
Sorry, Josh. Question from Heath that came in that's probably relevant. So he's asking, why can't I set limits on the web page on bonds?
Good question. So for bonds, they just don't have that capability with regards to the RMU unless you have an Army 3 installed. So if you're looking at an Army 1 or Army 2, those are devices that are just running off of the battery. So they're not always transmitting in. So in the future, there might be a development that we'd look into, but at this moment, it's not a possibility. Just a interesting note on that front, for the Army 1 the newest generation, we did start with a delayed message structure, so up to 12 hours. It'll check every 12 hours, and you can send a command, and when it powers up there, it'll take that information for that command. So like interrupting a bond location, but the remote limits portion hasn't been added yet. So possible functionality. I'll put that as a note here. Thanks for bringing that up. Right. Going a little bit further here. So that was with regards to the control page. So please feel free to use that in cloud and get a feel for it. See see how it corresponds to your sites there. From the top here, we're just gonna go into setup and take a look at what we have available underneath this here. So we have sites, groups, RMUs, companies, and users. So if you want to do any site editing or take a look at that site information, that can be done through the sites page. Now, for editing sites, need admin privilege level on your CorView account, just as a reminder on that front. Those privilege levels has transferred over from Classic to Cloud at the point at which we've done the transition period. So as long as you're an admin in Cloud here, you will be able to edit the sites accordingly. On this page here, similar to what we saw on those other pages, top left corner, refresh, top right, the smart search for searching a specific section of a name, export in top right as well for exporting this information that's currently below for the site page. And then we have additional filtering like we saw on those previous pages as well. So edit your columns to add or remove columns. And then if you scroll through, it's going to be the same information that you'd see on CorView Classic on that front. Now, should mention this. So if a unit transmits into CorView for the first time and it's not assigned to a site, it comes up as an auto-generated ESN or default name. Now, what you could do if you're having RMUs that are powering up, you could also just assign them to a site instantly. What you need to do for that is you just need to know the ESN, and you can just assign underneath RMU here. Just put the ESN and create that site. So when it first powers up, it'll just power up directly into a site rather than that auto-generated. Both work. If it comes up through an auto-generated site, you just typically edit the name and put it in the correct group. With regards to right next to this plus add, there's the action button. That's going to be for your interruption groups. So interruption groups have changed a little bit with regards to CorView Classic and CorView Cloud. In Cloud, there's no separate page like you were seeing in Classic for interruption groups. They can just be created through the groups page, and I'll show that in a second. But when you're assigning units to that interruption group, if you're assigning multiple units, you can just click on this check on the check boxes here for those units, and then hit action, and it'll allow you to add them to an interruption group. Now, if you're filtering directly for an interruption group, you can click the check boxes there and hit action to remove from that interruption group. This is also newer and a new development in Cloud too, is you can actually filter just to see what's in interruption groups, which was added in previously to the interruption group page on Classic. Now it's just streamlined, less pages, get to your information a little bit quicker on that front. I'm just going to take a look at editing one of the sites, say rectifier number 1. I did mention this previously, that 3-dot button will take you to different locations just for that site. That's available on this page as well. But let's go and take a look at the rectifier number 1. I'm just going to edit here. So if you created a new site and you need to edit it, and say it's a new rectifier location, you had to edit the site, so you want it in all these interruption groups rather than clicking that button. So you could just go in to the edit site page and then add it to multiple interruption groups that you have available, so that it's getting those group commands that you require. The edit site page, nothing's changed between this and Classic. So you still have the ability to change your site name, site number, site description. Can adjust the company with regards to those sites as long as you have admin privilege levels in both. I only have admin in on this account, only admin in training, not an Acme Pipeline Company demo, so I can't switch where the site's located. And then group just to make a quick note on that. So for your sites, they can be assigned to multiple interruption groups to send those group commands, but they can only be assigned to one standard group. So if you're looking at how the data structure is going, it's for the hierarchy, it goes sites, group, and then company. And then export key, if you require it, last service state, service notes. This is with regards to RMU1 ERs. So there's a limit for corrosion rate and smoothing for capability on the information that comes through. And then just rectifier status notes, or just status notes on the site. Pulling from there. So that's all I had here for the sites page. Let's scroll over here to the next one. So let's go to groups. And I was mentioning about the interruption groups. So in CorView.Cloud, to create an interruption group, you're just going to do it the same as creating a new group. And similar to other pages, top left corner is your plus add. And then when you go to create this group, if it's an interruption group, you just change the group type to interruption rather than standard. And then same information here. So for cloud with regards to Classic, so sending these emails out with regards to a new unit in this group, system fault, exception, button pressed, interruption, and then getting, say, monthly emails sent out for the archive readings file. The one thing that has changed, and it may not be that much to note, other than that you can do it, you can change that archive readings file format to be either CSV, Excel, or HTML based on that email that gets sent out with all the interval of readings for your sites. I want to make a quick note on this page as well. On the far right, there's the unit count, and this will take you specifically to the group or the sites page for that group. So if I let's see, if I have one of these here, training Army 3 interruption group, so third from the bottom, let's go here, click unit count. That'll bring me to the sites page for all the units that are in there. And then if I wanted to remove sites from this interruption group, it'd be clicking that there, remove from interruption group. All right, we got the RMUs, companies, and users. So RMUs, not a whole lot to mention on this front. The base serial number and tenant serial number for your units here. I want to know this a little bit. If you have like Army 2s, Army 3s, where you have a separate base and tenant serial number, the information that comes through on the Army list page for both CorView.Cloud and Classic is going to be based off of how we shipped it out from our facility here. So if you've been mixing and matching bases as antennas, then that information will not be correctly corresponded on this page here. So just to keep note of that. And then on this page here, we can see some additional information with, this is the carrier activated. So if you had a whole bunch of units that you purchased and you're curious whether or not they're going to transmit in, whether or not the airtime is currently activated for the unit, you can check this out through the Army list page underneath carrier activated. Or, for example, if you called up service, one of our guys here, and you asked for activation, and you just want to double check it afterwards, you can see it through this Army list page. This will update accordingly whether or not the airtime's activated. Control capable and control enabled. It's just with regards to, say, like Army 1s in comparison to Army 3s, how there's a difference on that front. And then if you're looking at your Army 3s, your remote limits enabled and remote limits capable. That's what we were talking about with regards to the setting the limits remotely, or is another terminology would be remote parameters. So just on that front, you can check to see if the remote limits are enabled for each of those sites. Going from the top here, we're just going to take a look at companies. We saw groups and those group email lists. For the company list, you can also set this up for your company here, so that all the groups within the same company, all the units, all the sites within the same company, you can edit that accordingly. So that so it's a company-wide email list. So pretty important to note on that front between those two email lists. If you have someone entered here and then also on the group email list, they won't be sent two. It'll just of those emails, it'll just be the singular. it takes priority for company, and then anybody else who's entered into group comes in after the fact. You can just notice on here that these the companies I have access to here, they just don't have any email lists assigned to them. That's why you get the dash to there. So, all right, let's go set up at the very top and then users. So for this page, if you're editing, creating, or deleting users, you need to have an admin privilege level. And just to look at, we saw it here from the top, view user information, but to look at it for this user as well, for this training user, you can grab that information for other users that you have assigned here. And then only admins can view. So as I said, I had admin privilege level and training, but not on Acme. If I look at Acme pipeline company demo, I only see myself. I don't see anybody else there. So that we were mentioning about that company directory information, only available to admins. Let's take a look here. So if you wanted to export all this information that's on this page, you could do so through the export button in the top right, smart search bar like those previous pages, editing the filters, same functionality as we've seen with the other pages there, refresh button in the top left, and the plus add here. So plus add, let's take a look. So this would be setting up a new user in CorView.Cloud. I just want to make a note of this. So first name, last name, username, email, and then password and verify password are all required. And then this cell phone, office phone, address, city, state, province, postal, that postal zip code, that's going to be optional. And like I said, only viewable by other admins on the account. I mean, it's going to be interesting to have that there, though. If you say had a contractor that you're creating a user account for, that you can also put their phone information there, so that you have somewhere in CorView you can take a look at it. At the very bottom here, for adding a new user, there is what we call role companies. So I only have training here as admin to, but if you're had people and you have a multi-company structure, you can add them to separate role companies and customize between the user privilege levels of those role companies. And then same privilege levels as you see in CorView Classic on that front. Guest is view only. User allows them to change their login information, so like reset their password and their fields. Admin gives additional functionality for editing, creating, and deleting users, as well as creating and editing sites, as well as the setting remote limits commands and setting interruptions cycle order for those Army 3 remote limits units. LTE swap for older cellular communications, if they're on 2G or 3G, they need to have this LTE swap checked. Control user allows them to send commands, so send interrupt commands, and then set site deletion. We do say limit how many people you have with site deletion, just because once that site's deleted, it's gone from the system. So if you just want to limit that site deletion privilege level on that front. One thing to note with cloud is that you have when you're setting up these passwords, there's a little bit more information that we've tightened up with for the password requirements. So you need to have at least one uppercase letter, one lowercase, one number, one special character, and then 8 to 15 characters in length. And then that's if don't necessarily need to remember all of that, just know that there is. If the password doesn't mesh within those requirements, you'll get a notification on this page here for creating that user. Let's push forward here. So that's the whole CorView.Cloud walk through here. We've gone through all these pages. It's been been about 30 minutes or so, or 40 minutes with questions. But I'll pass it off to Jason here. And while Jason's going through, I'm gonna pass off this screen as well. But if we want to come back, we can take a look at these at CorView here.
Sure. I think before you do that, Josh, I know kind of running a little bit behind here. There was a couple questions that just came in that I did want to address while you've got your screen up so that we get to them. The first one came in from Kimberly, just regarding the dashboard. Apologies, Kimberly, I didn't see it here right at the beginning. But essentially, clicking on the dashboard at the top, why doesn't it take you back to the dashboard page after clicking on Sites and Alarm?
After clicking Sites and Alarm. Oh, okay. So, well, what we did here, we went to Sites and Alarm. We clicked here. This takes us to the site status page. So that's pretty straightforward here. Now, when we click Dashboard, and it comes up as CorView, the reason why we have it set up like this is because we're going to add in additional data analytics, and we're going to have a separate dashboard page for that. And with regards to how it's currently set up, we're just enabling that capability so that you're used to clicking Dashboard then CorView. There'll be, as we continue onwards with developing in cloud, and based off of feedback we receive from customers, we will be adding other dashboards in as well.
Gotcha. Great. And then just the last one here, Josh, that came in recently from Joe. Is the user pool still a universal list amongst companies? Reason being, he's entered a contract user that wasn't in the existing or inactive users that stated that the user had already existed within the system.
So the user pool that you're referring to is going to be based off of their email address. So it has to have a unique email address per user. And then I believe on the development side here, Jason, we were looking at adding easier ability or ease of use ability here for adding contractors, correct?
Correct, Josh. That's a great point and probably a good segue into kind of the slides coming up. But yeah, to that point, Joe, it is on our roadmap of things to tackle. Just expanding that user functionality to Josh's point so that you don't always have to have a unique email address assigned to each user within your company.
Yeah, and it really comes into play, especially when you have contractors coming in, is the main reason why that would come into play. So we're looking at development portions of how to implement that properly. Great. Jason, you had a little bit of a slide deck here. Can I transfer this over to you here?
Sure. Yep. So I'll take it over here quick. I'll aim to go through it here fairly quickly so that we can still leave some time at the end for additional questions if need be. But how does that look, Josh? Can you see everything?
Yeah, I got you here. I just see the, I don't see it in the slide viewing mode. I just see it just through PowerPoint.
Oh, okay, perfect. Awesome. So just jumping in, a quick update on kind of where we're at. As everyone knows, Q1 of this year, we attempted our first trial of the cloud webinars, to which we found a bunch of areas that we could enhance and improve the system. So Q1 was spent identifying those issues and resolving them. And then as we headed into the Q2 here this year, a lot of those identified bottlenecks have been resolved and performance has been enhanced. As you can see here, evident by Josh, his demo went off without a hitch today, which is awesome. So we've relaunched the webinars. We've got a series of 6 webinars running this week from Tuesday to Thursday, both at noon and 2 p.m. Mountain. From here, where we'll look to go towards the latter half of Q2 is continuing to improve the platform, the performance of the platform. just kind of working out any quirks, getting the cloud platform as solid as we can make it. And then at the end here, we've got some final testing to do prior to launching the RDL1. And so just wrapping that up prior to commercial launch. So as we head towards the latter half here, we'll also look to fill in some of the legacy feature gaps that are kind of missing currently within the cloud system. So I know the help pages are missing in cloud, so we'll look to see and get those addressed. As Josh mentioned, we did implement the ability to move RMU sites and groups to new company. And then the couple of the other ones that we're looking at here are the stacked graphs, kind of similar to what we had in legacy, and then just an FTP file download for those curious. And then this second point here, I think I saw her sign up, Kimberly. We are working on the backend implementation for this update alarm exception email headers. So I'm hopeful that it should be out here within the next CorView release. So planned in roughly about a month's time, but we'll definitely keep you guys posted on that one. Interruption group sync I'll touch on here in a minute. And then as we head into Q3 and beyond, we've had a lot of feedback regarding our interruption group management. I know in legacy, it had the ability to kind of see the sites both in, say, interruption groups and default groups. So we're working on a concept similar to that. So it's just easier to manage sites and move them between groups. And then in terms of new feature adds, looking at the map, a big customer request of ours has been the map split screen. So having the map and readings on the same page. Graph, we'll look at some user enhancements there. So like I said, whether that's stacked graphs, improvements to the scaling, axes, response times, things of that nature. And then just as Josh wrapped up here at the end, expanded user functionality. So, expanding that ability to add contractors without a unique email address, multi-region access, and then the ability to enhance the top level filters. So say for multi-selection. So if you wanted to select more than one company, group, site, and filter on that, etc. So that's what we've got planned in our near-term roadmap. I did want to touch on interruption groups because I know I've mentioned it in a couple of emails that have gone out. So it is in the final stages of testing. So once we're wrapped up the webinars here this week, we'll let everyone know of when this will occur. But essentially, it's going to loop through cloud and legacy and check for any groups that have a duplicate name in both legacy and cloud. And if that's the case, as we can see here, we're going to add the -legacy suffix to it. If there is no duplicate between the two platforms, then the legacy group will just be automatically synced into cloud and no suffix added. And then just this middle point here is important to note. So if there's currently any empty interruption groups in cloud, when the sync occurs, it's going to delete any of those interruption groups. So just to help you guys out with some housekeeping tasks. And then lastly there, if an interruption group's created in cloud and it has sites and there's no duplicate name for it in legacy, we'll keep that original naming convention within cloud. So essentially if it's populated in cloud with sites, no duplicate in legacy, they'll remain the same. If it does have a duplicate name in legacy, that group will be synced into cloud with a legacy suffix so that our clients can then go in and QA, QC the different groups. And again, if it's an interruption group in cloud with sites, but no duplicate in legacy, we'll just keep that as is. And then lastly, here is an example that we were able to pull from the development team of how this is going to look within cloud. So we can see here for Acme North, there's a duplicate of that same group in cloud and legacy. So we just brought in that legacy group with the dash legacy into the groups grid. And then we could go through there and further QA and see what is actually relevant and what can be removed. So, and that's all I had, Josh, for an update on CorView. Well, it took up the full hour, and got 3 minutes left for questions. If anyone has any questions they want to ask or stick around, but thank you guys for attending. I know Josh and I definitely appreciate the time. So.
Yeah, well, absolutely. It's great to have everybody here. So, like I said, if there's any last minute questions here, we can help answer those. Now, if you have coming down the road, if you have questions, always feel free give us a shout here at Mobiltex support, either via email or through calling. And appreciate that everybody's here to see our webinar, and we hope to talk to you in the future here.
Absolutely. And any feature requests, as Josh said, feel free to send them to support or send them my way.
Perfect. All right. Have yourself a good rest of the day, everyone, and we'll see you in the cloud.
Sounds good. Cheers.